Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. This is John from Cloud Tech Inside. In this session, we'll be talking about a new feature within Amazon Bedrock called Code Interpreter. It's right now in the preview phase, but I just want to demonstrate how it works and show the importance of having a code interpreter as part of the Amazon Bedrock agent. In the past, LLMs were not great at doing mathematical calculations. Sometimes 1 plus 1 gives you 2, sometimes 1 plus 1 gives you 3. So it was never the LLM's job to be good at some of these mathematical calculations. But later, it started developing better and better code and helping the productivity of developers and builders in general. But now there's a code interpreter, which means you can generate the code and run it against the sandbox environment and make sure that it runs without any kind of bug. So that's the important piece, where you can ask a question to a mathematical question and can write a code to do that particular calculation. In that way, the answer is consistent over a period of time. If you ask multiple ways, it'll just create the code and gives you the right answer all the time. So that's the importance of having a code interpreter. So which means you can do the data analysis now, and it can generate a pandas code or a matplotlib and generate a graph. So basically you're asking an English question and it's generating a graph or analysis of a data. That's what a code interpreter does in Bedrock agent. So before we get to the demo, I just want to tell you that I have released a course on Amazon Bedrock, and I'm adding each and every component as it comes in the preview phase and generally available. It's available on udemy.com. Please support me by subscribing to that particular course. I will leave the course description below in the description. With that said, if anybody has not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. We're very close to the 500 subscribers. Please support me by subscribing and hitting the like button for the video. Without much talking, let's get to the demo. To the Amazon Bedrock console. From the menu, let's pick the agents, and within the agents I'm going to create a quick agent and show you where the code interpreter lies. So you can provide the description of the agent and instruction for the agent, and then if you click on the additional settings, you have the option to enable the code interpreter. You can enable the code interpreter. It creates its own sandbox environment, and as per the agent, it generates the code, runs the code against the sandbox environment, and then produce the results that you're looking for. I think this is where you can play with the code interpreter, and then you can test the agent right here. But in our demo, I want to make sure that I show you how it's done using a programmatic route, which is more intuitive. So I'm taking you to a notebook session. So this is a SageMaker notebook, and I'm using SageMaker notebook just to show how easy it is to work in a block style. You can always use a different IDE of your choice. I'm just using SageMaker notebook just to show you different instructions, and this notebook will be uploaded on a GitHub link, which I'll provide in the description. So let's get started. You can open any studio notebook, or you can have your own Cloud9. Any IDE should be fine. So the first step is in importing a bunch of libraries that we need. Second step is we want to highlight that what model to use and what region that we should be using. And in this demo, I'm just going to be using Sonnet and Haiku, and that's where the code interpreter is available as of now. And so keep that in mind. Unless you use two of these models, you may not see the code interpreter option enabled. And then creating a simple function to create a random name, and then comes the IAM policy. So I am providing the IAM policy in the GitHub. All you have to do is clone the GitHub, and then you can get those trust policy as well as IAM policy for the role that you need. So I'm just going to create this role. The role has been created, and then I'm initializing the Bedrock agent and calling it code interpreter agent 1, or you can provide your name. You can provide test, demo, something along those lines. And now you provide the instruction for the agent. So this is where I'm telling the agent that you are code execution, code generation, data analysis agent, and your primary function is to solve the problems and I'm saying environment is provided to you. There's a code execution environment, the Python environment to run your code, and I'm telling it to analyze complex data sets and how to approach a problem solving and how transparent and accurate it should be and the interaction style and how to ask follow-up questions. All these information is provided step by step to the agent. So agent clearly knows that it has a execution environment. It's used for data analysis and how to solve the problem. So this is very important, and this is where we put in the UI as an instruction. And once the instruction is ready to go, I'm just gonna kickstart the agent initialization process. So it just takes few seconds to initialize, and it says it's not in the prepared status. So we have to continue exploring the status of the agent, and you can see that action group is enabled. It will iterate until the agent is prepared completely. So keep on updating the status. It says it's the creating phase, keeps on changing, and once the agent is ready, it provides the agent ID and the alias. So agent is now ready to go. So basically this block is enabling the code interpreter feature. This is where you enable the code interpreter. So once you enable the code interpreter, you are checking to see if the agent is ready to go by checking the status in a while loop here. And once the status is ready, provide the agent ID and alias. So this is the key block where we are telling the agent that parent action group is a code interpreter. We are enabling that option so that it can start using that sandbox Python environment. So once the agent is created, next step is to create a runtime and then a function to invoke the agent. It's a simple function that invokes with an input text or a prompt and decides whether to show the trace or not. And once the information function is created, you can invoke the function. So this is what we are doing right now. We are providing a data of different speeds, 0 to 60 speed of different cars, and we are asking the agent to pick the fastest car among the data. So this is where I'm saying for analyzing this data, you could have used SQL. You could have used simple SQL to analyze this data, but what I'm showing you is that it is generating a Python code equivalent to a SQL and run the analysis and then provide you the information that you're looking for. So it understands that serial number, car model, and 0 to 60 time are all headers of these fields, and also understands these records are part of the data. And now it's running a pandas code behind the scene, ingesting the data and running the group by analysis to provide you the fastest car in the data provided. So this is a game changer. You should understand that instead of using SQL, it's writing the code behind the scene for you, running the code, make sure it's working right, and then run the code against the data to provide you the right results. So you don't have to see the code generation, you don't have to see how this works. If you want to see, you can see the trace ID, and then once everything is done, it provides a response saying the fastest car in the provided data is Tesla Model S with the plot 0 to 60, 1.99 seconds. And you can analyze the data to see if that is correct. So you can, this is just to show that you can do several analysis using code interpreter, and it also makes sure that it runs behind the scene and provides you only the results. And you can look at the trace item behind the agent to see if it is generating the right code or not, or what kind of code it generates. And this is where I want to say that Claude model, Sonnet and Haiku has this option. So play with it, understand if it's a good for your use cases. And there are different options. You can even try to pull this data from a CSV file or like a Athena table. We can pretty much start doing your data analysis in a more consistent fashion. Instead of asking it to generate text to SQL, you can just say, hey, generate a Python code to analyze the data, which is more consistent. And I will leave this notebook in my GitHub so that you can use it as a reference and play with it, understand how it works, and see if it's a good fit. That I'm calling it a wrap. In the next few videos, I'll be talking about generative AI roadmap for advanced organization, talking about what advanced organization is doing with LLM at present. And at the same time, I'll be also coming up with the second part of this code interpreter video once it becomes generally available. And also, so thank you